Hey, and welcome. So tonight we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics when it comes to scholastics, and that's student loans. Now, the average master's degreed social worker owes $60,000 in debt. That's a lot. Now you think about how many people are graduating every year. That's a lot of accumulated debt. So tonight what we're going to do is help you find some programs to get rid of some of that student debt, and maybe all of it. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Dark Side of Therapy. This is Eric Nance. This is the show where we take new clinicians and new graduates and we help them get into the field, make good decisions, and as per tonight's episode, avoid debt if they can. I mean, debt's a huge problem. I had a lot of debt when I got out of grad school with my social work degree. I think about $55,000, and that's a lot of money. And until I got loan forgiveness, I thought I was going to be stuck paying that for a very long time. So I did some research, and I've learned there are some great federal programs out there that have some requirements, but they will forgive a large portion of your student debt. Now, a couple things to bear in mind. Every one of these programs requires you to apply, meaning they're not just going to give you the money, and some are going to have specific criteria. So tonight I'm going to focus mostly on federal programs, and then I think in a few weeks we're going to do another video, kind of break down state to state, because states have their own individual loan forgiveness programs too. And sometimes they offer less forgiveness than the federal programs. But I saw a program in California, it looks pretty great. They actually give you $50,000 per year for a 2-year commitment to an underserved population. Now, for most of us, that takes care of all the debt right there. So that's pretty sweet. So the first program I'm going to start with is the National Health Service Corps. And I didn't even know this program existed until I got hired at my agency about 7 years ago, coming from a different agency. And my program director said, do you have any student loan debt? I said, yes, I do. She said, go ahead and apply. So the process for the National Health Service Corps is laborious, and a lot goes into it. I think it took me 7 tries and about 500 hours of phone calls to actually talk to the person I needed to get a couple details finally nailed down. But I did it, and about 2 weeks later I had $50,000 in my bank account to pay off the remainder of my student loan. Now, the National Health Service Corps is a tough one, okay, because they're going to focus on underserved populations. And one of the qualifiers is they're more likely to give you the forgiveness if you say you're going to stay in the area not only for 2 years, but longer than that. 2 years is the minimum, okay? So I worked in Beltrami County, Minnesota, which I think at the time was the most impoverished county in Minnesota. So I had a great chance of actually getting through, and I did. And so I was very, very grateful. Nothing feels as good as getting that money in your bank account. So for those of you who are willing to work in areas of high need, whether it's impoverished areas that have been hit by floods or natural disasters, all of these kinds of areas are going to be open to the program. And again, tonight this is only for social workers, but I got in. I say give it a shot and see what happens. The next program we're going to talk about, and this one's a little bit different because this program actually requires you to have a federal job or a not-for-profit job for 10 years, which sounds like a very long time. It's called the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Now, I had a friend of mine that actually did this, and yeah, she worked for 10 years in not-for-profit and government jobs and got her loans forgiven. Now, the other part of that is during that time, you have to make, I believe, 120 good faith student loan payments. So once you've done your 10 years, you've made your 120 student loan payments, then they will forgive the remaining balance. Now, I've asked her about this. Her name is Michelle. I said, how in the world did you do this? And she said because it was one of the few programs, she was a psychologist, I'm not, that she could qualify for. So based on the area that she was at. So again, 10 years is a long time. And think about that. a lot of us would look at the 10-year mark as well. I have to stay at the field 10 years to make this happen. But if you can last that long and get it all done, it's well worth it, and that was her opinion. Now, there's other programs, the Indian Healthcare Student Loan Forgiveness Program, and this one is basically for reservations and Alaska Natives. If you're willing to move to those locations and work with those populations. I believe it's a 2-year commitment, and they will give you $40,000 right away, and then $20,000 for every subsequent year that you work in those populations. So it's a really pretty good deal. Now here's the thing. Again, these are all commitments, and again, they're not guaranteed. So when you apply for these programs, it's not guaranteed you're going to get in, but it's definitely worth it. And I think the experience you're going to get is going to be just invaluable. But if you don't do it, then we know what's going to happen. You have no chance of getting your loan forgiven. But I say give it a shot. Go through the process, no matter how laborious and big it is, because when you see your student loan debt taken away, it's a pretty good feeling. Now, as I said before, we're going to do a follow-up episode and look at state-to-state programs, because some state-to-state programs are just wonderful. Alaska has a state-based loan forgiveness program where they will give you between $20,000 and $27,000 per year up to 3 years. So again, think about that. So yes, we'll list the different states. You have a very good idea of which states you need to work in to get what. If you just graduated and you're struggling with debt, know there are federal programs out there. Don't give up. And if you're willing to move or relocate, sometimes you're going to have to do that, it is well worth it. So thank you very much, and please be on the lookout for our future episodes of state-based, loan-based repayment programs. If you like this video, please hit like, and as always, please leave us a comment, and thank you so much for joining me tonight.